Okay, so here is 2.2 continue. 2.2 is the algebra of functions. Today we're going to talk about the difference quotient. All right, so I'll give you the formula for the difference quotient, and this is exactly what it is. Quotient means division, difference means subtraction. So this is a formula that has a little bit of both. The difference quotient is and so the example that you would see for this would be something that would say find and simplify the difference quotient. So you have to find and simplify. So even if I don't say simplify, keep in mind you always have to simplify. And then we'll give you a specific function for the example. So the specific function here will be f of x equals 2x squared minus 1. So I'm going to go ahead and write up the difference quotient formula again. What I recommend is every time you're asked to find the difference quotient, write the formula again. It'll help you memorize it. It's just easier to remember that way. So when you're dealing with the difference quotients, you've got the f of x plus h. So everywhere in your function you see an x, you replace it with an x plus h. And then the next step in that next set of parentheses, we left the function exactly as it is. So just exactly the same as it was. When you see that x plus h squared, that's going to go ahead and be written twice. So you'll see I've got that written twice, and then the rest of it, the f of x, is the regular function as it is, still all over h. Then we're going to continue simplifying this. So 2 times x plus h times x plus h. X plus h times x plus h, we go ahead and actually simplify that. Okay, so we're simplifying that by foiling it out, as well as distributing the negatives along the way. So all of this is just the simplification of the algebra. Distribute the 2, distribute the negative, get rid of all your parentheses, and so you ended up with 2x squared plus 4xh plus 2h squared minus 1 minus 2x squared plus 1 all over h. Now we're going to go ahead and simplify by combining our like terms. So you can take a second to realize what's in common. The 2x squareds were in common, they canceled, the 1's also canceled. So what was I left over with? I was left over with the 4xh plus the 2h squared. Still had this all over h. So I'll divide all that by h. And again, you want to continue simplifying as much as possible. Notice that there's an h in common, so I'm going to go ahead and factor out the h in common that's on top. If I factored out that h, I would be left over with a 4x plus 2h, still all over h. And then you can see that those h's are going to cancel. It doesn't cancel until it's factored. Keep that in mind. It must be factored before it can cancel, between the top and bottom at least. So then you're left over with 4x plus 2h, and that's our simplification of the difference quotient. Pretty tricky. Easier said than done. I recommend you watch this more than once, at least to grab that one. All right, so that's the first example. Let's go ahead and do one more example for the difference quotient. Find and simplify the difference quotient. Again, always simplify. And here's the function I'm going to give you here. F of x is 1 over x. So if we've got our function, again, let's write up the formula. F of x plus h minus f of x all over h. That's our difference quotient. So here what you're noticing is that f of x plus h, everywhere you see that x, you're going to plug in an x plus h. Just like we did in the previous example, I recommend you do that with parentheses always. So now I have 1 over x plus h, and then minus the original function is always minus the original function, whatever that is, and then always all over h. This one's a little trickier to simplify because of the fractions. So the trick for this one, very similar when you've done with complex fractions in the past, is to find the LCD so that you can simplify those fractions. And we only had 2 fractions, which was nice, the 2 of them on the top. So our LCD was the x and the x plus h. So what you do is you just have to multiply everything on the top and everything on the bottom by your LCD. So that's what I went ahead and did. Multiply everything on top and everything on bottom by the LCD. Then each fraction separately is going to go ahead and have something that cancels. So your x plus h canceled, and then your x canceled. On the bottom, nothing canceled because there was no fractions on the bottom, so everything is just still there. Simplify from here on out. It's just the regular simplification. Distribute that negative. Combine your like terms. In this case, on the top, those x's are going to cancel. Once those x's canceled, you ended up with something like negative h on top. You'll notice that that h will cancel on the bottom as well. So you ended up with negative 1 over x times x plus h. So that's that simplification of the difference quotient. Those are two tricky problems. It's going to take some practice. Definitely watch that more than once. Definitely practice those couple of times during your homework. Get the help that you need. Work together in groups if needed.